In the wake of October 7th unprecedented assault on Israel, First Lady Michal Herzog has found herself at the center of the nation's trauma and healing process. As she puts it, what happened on October 7th has changed lives, a reality that has transformed her role from ceremonial figure to national advocate. Today, we speak with the First Lady about Israel's path forward and her efforts to ensure the world understands the depth of the nation's wounds. Hello, Michal.
Hello, Tzvika.
How are you during these crazy and historic times?
Well, they're very challenging. We're already over 660 days since October 7th, 2023. It's a very difficult period for all of us. And the mere fact that you're dedicating an entire broadcast for speaking about trauma and the state of the nation of Israel speaks for itself. We're all undergoing very difficult days.
Right. And I know before October 7th, you took upon yourself one of the roles as the First Lady, which is not something that's always, not every First Lady decides to be active publicly or not. You decided to be a full partner. And this topic of mental health, amongst others, was something that you took upon yourself as something that you wanted to promote. And in the conversation I had with you in the past, you called it soft power, right? Because the president's residence has certain abilities to make decisions, but mainly it's the visibility and the opportunity to open doors and to connect people.
Well, you're absolutely right. 4 years ago, when the president began his term, it was COVID time. We're living in very interesting times, yes. And we do have a very interesting term, to say the least.
Yeah.
And I looked around, and I thought COVID affected all of us. Some more, some less, but I looked at children who were really suffering on Zoom. I looked at teenagers whose social distancing really hurt them. And I said to myself, we need to talk about mental health. I don't come from that field, but it felt like a natural choice for me. And I thought also that we should break stigmas and ask people to ask for help when they need help.
Right.
We're not shy when our leg hurts to go to a doctor, but we're shy when it's our soul.
Right.
And I wanted people to speak out about it and not to be shy about asking for help.
And we're speaking about pre-October 7th. This is before. And I think, as you said, just making something normal makes it more accessible to people.
Exactly. And of course, after October 7th, we all know. And as I said, the fact that we're sitting here speaking about the trauma that we as a nation are going through speaks for itself. We understand, all of you understand that we're all under some kind of trauma. Not all of it, not all of us, but some more. Of course, there are the first circle, the people that were affected by the trauma on October 7th, the families that were evacuated, even the families that were recently evacuated after the Amka-Levi operation with Iran.
The Iranian attack.
Exactly. But there are also the secondary people being affected. If it's the soldiers that see things firsthand, their families are also affected. The many wounded that we see in hospitals obviously have experienced something firsthand, but their families, the siblings, the family, the aunts, the uncles.
By the way, even the psychologists and the people who work in mental health.
Train the trainers, we call it. Help the helpers.
It's a big deal.
Exactly.
And some of them, have said, a friend of mine who was in the army, working with, mental health, saying, nobody will be able to understand what I went through, which is something very, very connected to post-trauma.
So I see people, and especially young people, and I see many soldiers, the verbal act, the speaking part is less appeals to them when they speak about trauma, but there's so many other
men in
ways.
general, I think. sometimes.
You said it.
I said it.
You said it.
Okay. Yeah.
And young men. Young men feel that this is not the tool for them. I see it at home. But there's so many other tools now. You know, there's so many other ways to express, to treat, whether it's sports or the sea, a lot of water sports, surfing, art, of course, music.
Dogs, by the way, the amount of people
amazing have
trauma,
service dogs.
Service dogs
Yes.
is wow, incredible.
And this is something we at the President's Residence actually promoted before the war, because a law was passed to allow service dogs on buses and restaurants.
Before that, it was an issue.
Exactly. And so we really promoted it. Little did we know that there would be a massive use now of service dogs. And so, and animals, you know, therapeutic riding on horses. There are many ways to treat and express. And there's also the use of AI. I just recently hosted at the President's Residence a wonderful, exciting day with the Innovation Authority of Israel, promoting the use of AI.
That's interesting.
Very.
How like, do you have an example?
Even
of
an intake.
Intake
of the first meeting, or even group therapy with an avatar that gathers the group together, and then they promote the conversation among themselves. And it also saves personnel and staff, because we know there is a great shortage of trained people, trained therapists. Although I must say there is a growing awareness of the Ministry of Health. And then you can see, for instance, the shortening of the long term it takes for a psychologist to become
to get certified.
Exactly.
It's a very long process usually.
So the Minister of Health has actually dealt with that matter. You can also see Israeli therapists from abroad who live abroad who do therapy on Zoom, which is something that is also
and
very
also Jews
useful.
from the diaspora,
exactly,
who came to Israel
to volunteer, and to give therapy on Zoom, which is, I think, everyone feels that this is the issue to deal with, and we still don't know the after effects.
Right. So AI is definitely something, you know, I definitely didn't think of, but it's a tool that could help, right? It's not a solution.
Definitely a tool that can help, can alleviate the prolonged waiting for a session with a therapist. So I think it's a very important tool. And unfortunately, we see a growing number of people taking their lives because they cannot cope with the trauma, with the post-trauma. And this is something also we have to deal with. I'm in the process now of putting together a round table from the Ministry of Defense and the Army and the Ministry of Health to deal with that, because the numbers are growing. We don't have the exact statistics, but we all know and we hear, and it is a topic that is discussed. But there are also ways to deal with that. There are NGOs that deal with the prevention and the monitoring of suicide. And people are taught and given tools and to look around at the people in their neighborhood, in their family, and to see if they notice someone that needs help, needs attention. There are ways to deal with it. And I urge people to really do that.
Right, I think it's really important. And I know from the IDF that they're so much more developed than they were in the past. You know, every commander, sometimes they'll even take, you know, a psychologist or whatever with them.
To the field.
To the battlefield.
This is a completely new approach of the IDF. And it is something they understood as the war went on. You know, we didn't realize it would take such a long time. I must say I was also naive. I deal a lot with reservists and families of reservists. And in January 2024, when the first round were coming out from the fight in Gaza and in the north.
It was a ceasefire or whatever.
Exactly. And we thought I put together a round table, a conference at the president's house, and I said, I called it Coming Home. I thought they were all coming home, and we talked about family, how it affected family life, how it affected people, employees, vis-a-vis their employers. Exactly. In the academic world, students who were coming back and had difficult time coping, and we all thought,
that's it.
This is it.
Yeah. Now it's the post. But
Exactly.
it turned out to be the current.
And so we actually had, after a few months after that, we had a more practical get-together with the Ministry of Treasury. We actually talked about compensation,
funding,
with social with security, to talk about helping people and helping small businesses. And from that actually grew some of the practical methods of helping the reservists when they came back home.
Wow.
But there is a lot to be done, and a lot of work with the families as well.
Right. So you, just a few weeks after October 7th, you had a visit that I think kind of really impacted you at the base in Re'im.
Right.
That's where the observers, the IDF observers, usually female, right?
Right.
Some of them were unfortunately killed, and some of them were kidnapped, and now they became our heroes.
They are amazing. So this was one of the most moving visits I had. Just a few weeks after October 7th, the Nachal Oz war room, of course, we all know, was burnt, and the young female soldiers were either killed or abducted, and they reopened the war room in the Re'im military base, and I was there to inaugurate it with them. Some of the girls experienced October 7th, and some of them were home on leave, and their best friends were either killed or taken hostage. And I was there with some of the female fighters in the area, and it was a very, very moving visit and meeting to hear them and to hear how they felt, but they felt the responsibility to keep on going. And I think now people understand the importance of being border surveillance.
Yeah.
They understand the role of these usually.
And the numbers went up. Everybody thought that people will just not, enlist to this unit, but actually many young women just wanted to be part of it.
Because they know how important it is. It is not easy for the parents.
No.
It is not easy for the parents, I must say. But
well, you're a parent and you know that.
Yeah, but the girls themselves feel that, they carry the responsibility on their shoulders, and they just want to give their best.
Right.
And it was very moving to see them and hear them and hug them.
Right.
They're wonderful.
So one thing, that I know, I spoke to a friend of mine that works with you and the president, who told me months ago that every single person within the president's residence is part of this project, where unfortunately, when a soldier or a civilian is killed, they all get a personal letter
from the president.
And is delivered by someone that works directly with the president.
So the president, right in the beginning, after October 7th, said that, how can we reach everyone? We're trying our best. We have, unfortunately, so far met almost 1,300 bereaved families. But he felt that at least a personal letter, and it's not a standard, it's a very personal letter to each family.
According to the circumstances, etc.
Exactly. As you said, both civilians and military. And the entire president residence family, we call ourselves, is taking part in that. It's drivers and it's secretaries, and they all feel that it's our mission to reach every single family come to that family, knock on the door, bring a letter from the president, sit with the family, listen, and hear stories about their fallen dear ones. And I think it also gives us a sense of purpose.
I think definitely, and I know some of them continue these relationships.
Exactly.
And it's so important nowadays to just reach out and be in touch with someone. I think that's definitely something that helps. Finally, since you've been so deep into this issue, and definitely since October 7th, what is your call to action? How can people be of assistance, or what can people do to get help?
Well, first of all, I think now that we understand that mental health and dealing with trauma is so important and is going to be the biggest issue in Israeli society, everyone should be aware of it. Philanthropy gives money to that. People take care of others. And I think the most important thing is to care and to look around and see if you feel that someone in your vicinity shows signs of trauma, shows signs of distancing. It is very simple to reach out to people. Just ask a few questions. Just reach out, show that you care. It will really change lives. Those few questions and giving attention to people is a life changer. And I call people to really give attention to others and come together. Stop fighting. The best thing we can do as a society is just understand each other. We don't have to agree about everything, but just to show understanding and empathy and sympathy to each other. That's the most important thing.
So thank you very much, First Lady Michal Herzog, for inspiring us.
Thank
and
you.
for doing what you do. It's so important for the citizens of Israel.
Thank you, and thank you for taking the time to really deal with this very important issue. And may we know better days and better
Amen.
news.
Amen. Thank you.
Thank you.